So you want to get involved in custom liquid cooling. You really want one of those awesome systems that you only see in photos online. Well, I am here to help you guys. But before we get into that, I wanted to lay out on a table for you a few of the components that you're going to need to get familiar with before we can even start on that build. And I also wanted to tell you that it's not going to be cheap. It's not going to be easy. You're going to run into problems. And to be honest, a lot of people that start on this... Come on, man. Hello? No, I'm filming right now. It's not really a good time. Wait, it launches today? Okay. It's gonna be easy? It's gonna be cheap? It's gonna be no problems. And it's not gonna be complicated. I mean, okay, I guess thanks for letting me know. No, that kind of like blows my whole video idea. Yeah, all right, thanks. Bye. Well, so this right here is IBuyPower's brand new Element CL Plus system. Now, we saw this, oh boy, that's a heavy one. We saw this at CES this year, and I have been super interested to see when it comes out from since then, I guess. Don't tell IBuyPower this because they sponsored this video, but I probably would have taken a look at this for free. They sent this over to me and said, tell us what you think. We're coming out with a new line of custom liquid cooled builds that you can purchase on our website that are pre-built for you, and they ship full. They ship with coolant in them, which is not something that I would have ever expected and not something that I would ever really try on my own. I used to build custom systems. Oh boy, we're gonna need to get this out of here. 1 second. All right, a much more reasonable sized box. Anyway, like I was saying, I used to build custom systems and I used to ship them all over the place. Whenever I built water-cooled systems, however, I never would ship them full. I was just too afraid of what might happen in shipping, and I have witnessed people unpacking custom water-cooled builds and just running into an absolute nightmare. Tubes disconnected, fittings broken, coolant everywhere. A lot of times we see this with systems that are being shipped to like CES for show builds and whatnot. And this is what I was looking for. So, one of the ways that they are able to actually make sure that these systems are shipping around and are not just spewing coolant everywhere is because they have these new fittings. These fittings are what is allowing IBuyPower to both ship these systems safely and sell them for probably a lot less than you might think, because putting a system together with these fittings is so much easier than traditional water cooling, where you have a collar that you have to put on the tube and then insert it through the O-rings and then screw down the collar. The process for building with these fittings is literally take the tube, push it into the fitting, and it's sealed. And it's really sealed. Oh my God, okay. Yeah, that's really in there. Now to get it out, you depress the collar a little bit and then you pull the tube out. So they've been able to streamline their process of building because they don't have to spend an infinite amount of time screwing on the collars of all of their fittings. They just use the press-in system and then they're sealed. Not only are they sealed though, the reason that they can ship is because they are so tight. Oh my God. Okay, I can't pull that out. So either I need to go back to the gym and stop skipping arm day, or these things are awesome. And I wish we saw these fittings a lot more in other applications. Like I wish I could just buy these off the shelf. There are teeth inside here that grip the tube. So if you look at this tube, actually, after I've had it inserted, you can see that there are little teeth marks around that are holding onto the tube and really preventing it from going in the opposite direction. And then when you depress this collar, it releases the teeth and allows the tube to come out. It's a pretty simple system, but it is apparently extremely effective and time-saving. Let me fire this bad boy up and see what she looks like, huh? Yeah. Check that out. So, this build is the CL Plus, like we mentioned before. It's gonna be available starting today, August 28th, and it's gonna retail for $2,199. What you see in here is an i9-10900K, an Asus Z490p motherboard, 32 gigs of G.Skill Trident Z RGB memory, an MSI RTX 2080 Super, a 1 terabyte ADATA SX8200 M.2 SSD, and with all the parts in here, on PC Part Picker, the components alone come to $2256.93. That's without Windows, without a keyboard and mouse, these guys right here that it comes with, and it's without any of the custom cooling. Now, if you guys have ever done any custom liquid cooling in the past, you will know that fittings, radiators, blocks, tubing, it's not cheap. You could easily spend $400, $500, $600 just on custom liquid cooling components for your build. And then you have to take the time to install it and hope that it doesn't leak. IBuyPower is selling this system for less than the cost currently of the components inside of it and charging you $0 for custom liquid cooling components. That doesn't make any sense. I sent my rep a text and said, how are you doing this? Because that's just kind of crazy. But it does kind of come back to the ease of installation. They're using these fittings, they're using pre-cut, pre-bent tubes, and so the installation process is the same for all of these systems, so they could really go through it quickly. And they're not spending a whole lot of time putting it together, custom measuring and bending everything. But still, there's a lot of money in here that is not accounted for in the MSRP, and that seems like a really good deal right now, to be honest, and you're getting a full custom liquid cooled build, which is just sick. So let's take a closer look here at what this looks like. We'll get some cool B-roll going on, and then we're gonna test it out, see what kind of performance we get, see what kind of temperatures we get, because that is really the end game when it comes to custom liquid cooled systems. Just finished up our testing. I took the Element CL Plus, popped it back on the desk behind me here. That is my testing setup. Hooked it up to a monitor and ran through 5 different gaming benchmarks, both to see how it performed in those benchmarks at 1440p and ultra settings, and also to see how one radiator, one 360mm radiator, would handle cooling the 10900K and the 2080 Super, and the results are really, really good. Check out the temperatures up in the top left-hand corner here. We see both the CPU and the GPU running in the 40s. Now, granted, there isn't a huge amount of load on the CPU at this time, but the main heat generating component in your loop while you're gaming is going to be the GPU, and that thing was loaded up. I am honestly really happy with the thermal performance of the way they've configured this loop. Not only were temperatures good, but 1440p gaming performance was also on point. Shadow of the Tomb Raider 103 frames per second average, Far Cry New Dawn 110 frames per second average, Ghost Recon Wildlands 67 frames per second on average, Deus Ex Mankind Divided 79 frames per second on average, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey 66 frames per second on average, all with really good 0.1% and 1% lows as well. This is a really solid performing system. The 10900K well, it basically doesn't get any better than that on the CPU side of things. And obviously a 2080 Super is going to give you really, really solid frames at 1440p. While I had the system hooked up behind me and running those gaming benchmarks, it kind of gave me a few minutes to look at how they designed it and see how they decided to run this loop. And it is really interesting. I like that all the tubes are run horizontally across the system from one side to the other. And then you have the full distro plate at the front that everything is hooked into. The radiator that they've used actually doesn't have a second outlet tube. It actually just hooks directly into the distro at the top. So you could kind of see some bubbling going on as the coolant is coming back out. And then at the bottom of that distro, you have a really cool flow indicator as well to let you know that everything is working. So not a whole lot to say about this system, except it looks like it was really well thought out and well planned. I did talk to IBuyPower about how long this took, and they said this is over a year in development. So when we saw it at CES, that was still in like prototyping stage, and they hadn't yet decided what direction they were going to take it. But this has been in the works for quite a long time, and they've been trying to figure out how they can both bring this at a low enough price where it is attractive to buyers and ship it without worrying about coolant getting everywhere. And as it turns out, these new fittings, this new fitting system really allowed them to develop this, and now you're seeing it here. So I am glad they figured it out. It is definitely a system that is worthwhile looking into if you want a pre-built gaming PC, you want to get into custom water cooling, you want a full custom loop, so that's CPU and GPU, you want a distro block, but you're not quite sure if you're ready to do that on your own. Well, I mean, this seems pretty easy. IBuyPower is also looking for feedback on the Element systems. Right now, the loops that they're making are all aluminum, but they are also considering building these systems with pure copper blocks. They also might add custom sleeve cables or a GPU backplate. They understand that this is a premium market segment, and there are things that they can do to improve the Element line. So let me know down below in the comments what are the things you might want to see, or what you might be willing to pay a little bit of a price premium in order for them to include in the Element CL. With that being said though, make sure you get subscribed to the channel so that you don't miss out on any upcoming PC build content. We got a couple of really cool, really unique builds coming up within the next couple of weeks. Make sure you hit that like button. Also check out all the links down below if you are interested in IBuyPower's Element line. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.